This man is less than a meter tall, yet he has a stunning girlfriend. You might not believe it when I say this. He owes this romantic success entirely to his mouth. Is his spit sweeter than honey then? Certainly not. It is because he can emit extremely powerful sound vibrations. Anything glass within 100 meters will shatter instantly. His girlfriend was completely enchanted by that miraculous mouth of his. He is Oskar, the boy with the legendary scream. To understand Oskar's peculiar talents, we must start with his grandmother. Grandmother lived during the war years. She survived by farming potatoes every single day. One day, while roasting potatoes in the field, a short man came running from afar. Two policemen were chasing him right behind. The man fell to the ground, begging grandmother to save his life. Grandmother took a quick look at the approaching police, promptly lifted her skirts, and let him hide underneath. Then, she went right back to munching her potatoes. The two panting policemen arrived and asked for the fugitive's whereabouts. Grandmother pointed her stick in the direction to the right. The police did not believe her story one bit, so they started furiously stabbing their bayonets into the potato patch. Unfortunately, they found no trace of the fugitive. Could he have vanished into thin air? The two policemen left, looking utterly baffled. Who knew the restless fugitive under those skirts was nearly giving the game away? Once the police had departed, grandmother quickly stood up, lest the fugitive be suffocated. Afterward, the two walked home, stuffed with potatoes. A few years later, they had a lovely daughter. Life was sweet, fueled by potatoes and spirits. Sadly, their happy days did not last too long. The police came knocking again. In the end, Oskar's grandfather jumped into the lake and vanished without a trace. Since then, grandmother supported herself and her daughter by running a small stall. Roasted potatoes, geese, even bricks. Anything could be roasted under those miraculous skirts of hers. Relying on this secret technique, she raised her daughter, Sophie. Soon enough, it was time for her to marry. Sophie's heart was set on her own cousin, even though they were close relatives. In those war-torn years where men were scarce, this seemed like the only option. However, to avoid the neighborhood gossip, Sophie did not marry the cousin. Instead, she wed a German soldier. Although the cousin and the husband held different views, they both cherished Sophie deeply. The three of them lived together quite harmoniously. A year later, Sophie was pregnant with Oskar, but whether the child was the husband's or the cousin's, perhaps only Sophie knew for sure. When Oskar was 3, mother gave him a tin drum. He wore it around his neck every day, never letting it go. Despite being only 3, he seemed unusually mature when he discovered mother and uncle in their secret rendezvous. He felt deeply confused. She clearly had a husband already, so why was she still getting intimate with uncle? The more Oskar thought about it, the angrier he became. So, he took a wild leap from the top floor. He hit the ground, knocked out cold. Eventually, the family took him to the hospital. From that moment on, Oskar ceased to grow. By age 6, he had not gained a single inch in height. His father started to suspect he was the byproduct of a cursed incestuous union. In a fit of pique, Oskar let out a piercing shriek. The sheer force of the sound wave shattered the glass instantly. His family was left completely stunned. They had no idea the boy was capable of such a devastating sonic blast. After discovering his extraordinary gift, Oskar grew immensely confident. He became the self-appointed king of the local children. He had a posse of followers trailing behind him every single day. He was even bold enough to talk back to his teacher. Anyone who dared to cross him was met with his sonic roar. From then on, no one dared to pick on him again. Eventually, however, Oskar began to dwell on the reality of his stunted stature. It made him feel deeply inadequate. The other children stopped playing with him altogether. They even mocked him, calling him an old man trapped in a child's body. They would go as far as to use urine to boil his eels for some twisted game. Then, gripping his nose, they forced him to drink that foul concoction. The neighborhood king had been reduced to a total outcast. Oskar's confidence was shattered beyond repair, trying to lift him out of this deep depression. His mother took him out into town to buy some toys. In the end, though, she just abandoned him in the toy store. She sneaked off to the hotel to meet up with my cousin. When Oskar found out, he was absolutely furious. He climbed up the clock tower and screamed down at the hotel. Every single window across the street shattered into pieces from the blast. Helpless, his mother had no choice but to take him back home. The family made a show of harmony, going out together to see the circus. Oskar was genuinely fascinated by the performance of the little people. His parents figured perhaps his unique talents could be put to use in the circus troupe. So, they had him join the troupe to learn the ropes. Oskar unleashed his sonic roar right in front of the troupe leader. In an instant, every light bulb in the place exploded. The leader was utterly baffled by such incredible sonic power. He begged him to join the circus, But Oskar simply replied that he preferred to remain an observer. His parents had no choice but to take him home once more. On his 16th birthday, his father gave him a radio as a gift, but Oskar did not care for it one bit. He preferred the tin drum that his uncle had given him instead, because he realized that his uncle's eyes were the exact same color as his own. They were, after all, his real family. From that moment on, Oskar stopped standing in the way of their trysts. His father chose to turn a blind eye to it all on the surface. But in reality, he had been competing with my uncle all along. Neither side cared to bring the elephant in the room to light. Then, an incident occurred that shattered this fragile, harmonious facade. His father gathered a pile of eels on the beach. The nauseating stench of the rotting creatures made his mother violently ill, yet his father insisted on bringing them home and serving them for dinner. He even forced his mother to eat them. And so, with tears in her eyes, she forced down a massive plate of eels. After that meal, something very strange began to happen. His mother developed a twisted obsession with the fish. Every day, she would gorge herself on salty eels non-stop. She devoured them, bones and all. Only later did it become clear she was trying to trigger a miscarriage by eating them. Because she knew the child inside was yet another byproduct of my cousin, she was terrified that if it survived, it would be just like Oskar, stunted forever. Her husband just sat there, endlessly trying to comfort her. Whose child it really is does not matter anyway. In the end, Mother just could not bear the weight of it all and chose to end her life. After Mother passed away, Uncle and Father became close buddies. Drowning their sorrows in booze and gambling, they paid Oskar no mind at all. Grandmother was the only one left to pull him under her skirts for some warmth. A few years later, war broke out between Germany and Poland. The mischievous Oskar dragged Uncle down to the Polish recruitment center. Just like that, he became a soldier for no apparent reason. Before he even had a day of training, he was off to the front lines with a rifle. In the end, the Polish army was wiped out and taken as German prisoners. Yet somehow, Oskar's father ended up a war hero. Grandmother even personally scouted a beautiful nanny for him. I set my eyes on this girl named Marie the moment I saw her. Every night, I had to listen to her play the flute to drift off to sleep. At first, Marie had no clue that I was already a man grown. She just thought I was a playful, active little boy. I used this youthful face to successfully win Marie's trust. She barely even stopped me from getting a little handsy. Eventually, Marie started to notice something was off. She began pressing me about my age, terrified that Marie might reject me. I lied and told her I was only 6. Marie played along, saying it did not bother her how old I was. In truth, she knew full well this fellow was already a full-grown, rotten little brat. She trusted me completely, even taking me along to the sauna. When Father left for work, those were the happiest moments for me, because that meant Marie and I could enjoy our own little world. The blissful days did not last long, though. I encountered another major setback in my life. The woman I loved, Marie, was snatched away by Father. A few months later, Marie was pregnant. I grabbed a pair of scissors, fully prepared to destroy the child in her womb. But in the end, Marie stopped me. From then on, I had to face this tangled love triangle all over again. Only this time, the protagonist was me. In this cycle of life, who knows whose kid that really is? Still, I was already prepared to gift that kid a tin drum. Later, I bumped into a former circus manager. He had become a propaganda officer for the army by then. I fell in love at first sight with his female assistant. Using my voice, I etched a heart into a glass cup to express my affection for her, just to be with the woman I loved. I joined the army's propaganda unit. I performed to boost the morale of the soldiers guarding the beaches. Days later, the last German defense line fell to the American forces. We were forced to hit the road as refugees. My girlfriend was not so lucky. She was killed by artillery fire along the way. After saying goodbye to my comrade, I returned to Father's place. By now, my little brother was almost as tall as I was. I gave him a tin drum as a gift. As the war drew to its bitter conclusion, the Russian army was the first to take Berlin. Father burned everything related to the military. In the end, he still could not escape his fate. I wept bitterly at his funeral, only to be knocked out by a rock thrown by some brat. But it was a blessing in disguise, because my body finally started to grow. With our neighborhood in ruins, Marie decided to take me back to her old home in Poland to marry. The wondrous and tragic journey of my life has finally come to a complete stop.